What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday. What a wild week 10. Going to break it down for you. The stud sucks, the latest news and notes, and also some waiver wire suggestions heading into week 11. Man, I cannot believe how crazy this week was when it comes to fantasy. I mean, I'm going to talk about the breakout of Henderson, which was long overdue. We're going to talk about Bijan getting his volume stolen. We're going to talk about Kenneth Walker getting his volume stolen. We're going to talk about Christian McCaffrey getting his volume stolen near that goal line. I mean, I'm telling you, I don't know whether you're into conspiracies or not, but I'm telling you, they are messing with your fantasy football teams. We're going to talk all about it, get you guys fully up to date. Also, injuries, news, everything right here, right now. If you are new to the channel, guys, make sure you guys do smash that thumbs up and drop a question. Hit subscribe if you're new. Hit the thumbs up. It just takes a second every time. Just hit the thumbs up. I'm going to get you guys covered fully here on this channel. We go year round. If you have not subscribed, subscribe right now. And also, guys, I know a lot of people are frustrated. Maybe they're not going to make the playoffs this year. Maybe they're 3-7 or whatever their record is. You guys can get in on the action at mybookie.ag. This is the site I use, the site I trust. You can get in right now and enhance that game watching experience. Get in on the bets, because I can tell you, man, I got the answers to the bets because I know what they're doing. I can tell the flow. This team won this week. They're probably going to lose this week, right? It always kind of mixes it up. So I really kind of hack the algorithm in regards to figuring out who the winners are. So if you guys have not joined the fantasy, my group right there, my bet group, right, the Counselor's Edge, you guys need to join right now. I've linked it below. But the site you want to play on is mybookie.ag. Listen, you get a $500 bet back bonus, so it's literally like risk-free, right? It's a site I use. Go in, create an account, put down deposit, and make the games a little more exciting, right? And of course, my advice is going to help you guys cash in, but mybookie.ag is the place you want to go. FFC is the code you want to use. That's FFC, Frank Charlie. Use that code, guys, and that's really going to, get you guys all the perks there. $500 bet back bonus is pretty wild. Mybookie.ag, go create an account right now and get in on the action, okay? So, again, drop your questions below. Let's start off with the latest news and notes with guess who, guys? It's Breaking Brad.
We now have breaking news.
Hopefully, you guys, that sounded good. I don't have my earphones on, so I'm hoping you guys hear Breaking Brad. I played the button there. All right, let's go. So let's talk about some latest news and notes here. And then I'm going to dive into the studs and sucks and give you guys some waiver wire suggestions here. Now, a couple of things in the news I want to talk about. Jahmyr Gibbs, 3 touchdowns against the Commanders, amazing. But Montgomery's stealing away 15 rushing attempts. Now, imagine if Jahmyr Gibbs had those rushing attempts. This is what I'm talking about, guys. It's really, really frustrating from fantasy when you know a guy is fully capable. Guys like Bijan, guys like Christian McCaffrey, these guys are fully capable, yet they're hindered and limited. Their ceiling is capped because of pests like David Montgomery. And this is what's happening everywhere, guys. And I don't know how to beat it. All I'm telling you is, you still got to start Gibbs, but the ceilings are limited. So let's say you're in a fantasy matchup, and let's say you lose by 5 points. Well, if they had just given, 5 or 10 of those rushing attempts that went to Montgomery and they went to you, you would have won your week. But you lost because Montgomery hoarded away. Or if you had Bijan, you could have you can't tell me that Bijan is not capable of getting goal line carries, right? And then they put Algier in there. That's beyond frustrating. So, regardless, Gibbs had a good game, but held to 15 rushes and 15 went to Montgomery. That's not good, okay? Jackson Smith and Jigba, amazing, right? 5 of 6 targets, 93 yards, and a touchdown. Absolutely having a career year. Jackson Smith, amazing. He was in the 16th-round draft, which has a 3rd-round recommendation, I believe, this year. Absolutely good ROI in fantasy is Jackson Smith, superseding all those first-round wide receivers. Amazing stuff. Devontae Adams suffered a back injury in Sunday's game. Now, I watched the highlight on that. Dude, it's like he just ran a route, did a little bit of a juke, and his back was thrown out. Maybe it's old age, but just not a good look if you're a, Adams owner. But, I would not feel good with a guy getting hurt with non-contact. It just did not look good. Again, maybe age setting in there. Nico Collins tops century mark in win. Collins caught 7 of 15 targets, 136 yards in the Sundays, 36-29 win. An amazing week, by the way, by Davis Mills. We'll talk about that as we go through each position here. Amazing stuff. On the contrary to Nico Collins, right, Justin Jefferson lacks the connection with his quarterback, McCarthy. Jefferson only recorded 4 receptions on 12 targets for 37 yards. Justin Jefferson, top 3 fantasy football pick, not giving his ROI. Not good there, Justin Jefferson. Not good at all. Rico Dowdle finds the end zone, but I mean, he carried the ball 18 times for only 53 yards and a touchdown. Caught the ball, 3 targets. Now listen, Dowdle has now secured that spot, and we talked about like when running backs come out, Chuba getting hurt, someone else steps in and wows you, you got to start that player. And I'm surprised Carolina's actually doing this. They're actually starting their best player, which is good on them. Rico Dowdle having him a decent game, but not the best. We'll talk about that in a second. Emeka Egbuka, amazing game. 6 targets, 6 of his 13 targets, 115 yards. And a touchdown. 115 yards, Emeka Egbuka. He's going to be looking at a first-round fantasy football draft pick. The pace that he's going, amazing. Travion Henderson breaks off 2 long runs, rushed the ball 14 times, 147 yards, and 2 touchdowns, finally breaking out. Now, are they going to, when Stevenson comes back, are they going to use Stevenson? I would not be surprised. I do not trust Vrabel, even though he had this massive breakout, which I was talking about from week 1. You should have just played Henderson for week 1. Imagine like the amount of fantasy points that are missed out. This is the potential that Henderson has. He has Jahmyr Gibbs upside, and he's been on the bench. And the sad thing is, going into week 10, right? The variable and the coaches were talking about acquiring Tony Pollard, but the Titans did not want to do a trade with them. Why would you want Tony Pollard when you got Travion Henderson? This is what destroys me, man, in fantasy. Knowing that I see this potential and it's being hindered by just stupidness, complete stupidness, utter stupidness from the coaching. So Travion Henderson absolutely tears it up. Amazing stuff. Final breakout. Hopefully it continues. Okay. Lamar Jackson held quiet by the Vikings. Jackson completed 17 of 29 passes for 176 yards, 1 touchdown, no interceptions. Josh Allen got smoked by the Dolphins, and if you look at the stat sheet, again, we're talking 9 different receivers. I was looking at that. Again, we're talking about manipulation of stats due to props and fantasy sites. They want to mess with your fantasy teams. Josh Allen, 9 receivers. Ray Davis getting involved. What was it? Elijah Moore. You got Keon Coleman. You got Cook. You got Kincaid. You got like 100 different receivers. I mean, we know that Coleman is capable. We saw it in week 1. We saw him get, I think, a touchdown this past week. We know he's capable. Throw the ball to Keon Coleman consistently. Utilize him, okay? Jackson Dart was diagnosed with a concussion and would not return to Sunday's game. Monitor that situation. I think he lost a tooth. So he got banged up pretty good, and so did, what's-his-face, Daniel Jones. They got banged up pretty good. Got to give them credit for toughness, including Daniel Jones, all bloodied up. Looked like he was wearing lipstick almost. Blood all over his mouth, playing on, and just doing really well. Awesome stuff for those guys. So that's it for latest news and notes. I'm going to get to each position. We'll talk the studs and studs, talk some waiver wire. Okay? Breaking Brad, where are you?
We now have breaking news.
All right, let's go here. Let's go to, hopefully that Breaking Brad button's working. If you can't hear him, we should not pay him for the day, Breaking Brad, right? If he's not, if we can't hear his voice, hopefully heard it on your end. I'm not getting confirmation here because I don't have my headphones here on this remote call. I got to get some headphones possibly for the next one here. Okay? All right, so we're done with latest news notes. Let's talk about the top players at each position. And at this point, man, I don't even think waiver wire is even relevant, man, unless you really need like a guy coming off bye week, need to fill a position or a defense, that type of thing. But your team should be solidified for the most part. Anyone who's broken out should have broken out. Now, there's going to be injuries. There's going to be other things. There's going to be some second or third stringers that are going to emerge. But by week 10, your team should be pretty solid, minus maybe a streaming a defense, a kicker, that type of thing, and an odd player here and there. But we're going to go through it here, okay? So obviously the Kinsheeps are going to tell you, hey, grab Davis Mills, but this is, I think, a temporary solution here. But let's talk about it. Davis Mills, amazing, 27.7 points. Phenomenal game, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, just getting it done all around. And he did get that rushing touchdown, which inflated his numbers to 27.7. Stafford having himself an outstanding game. Jackson Dart, these are your top 10 quarterbacks, excluding the Monday game. Okay, so we got Caleb Williams, Jared Goff, Mac Jones, Baker Mayfield. Dylan Gabriel, believe it or not, had himself a good game, throwing 2 touchdowns for 20 points. Jacoby Brissett and Josh Allen still managing to get 19.3 fantasy points, even though he got absolutely destroyed by the Miami Dolphins, okay? Tyler Shuck, Marcus Mariota also having a decent game. Those are your quarterbacks. Guys like Justin Herbert, only 14.7 points, not good. Guys like Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Bo Nix having a bad game, 6.4 fantasy points. Sam Darnold, All these guys that should be performing just did not perform. I would easily say that Bo Nix is the suck of the week. Bo Nix, I mean, you should be ashamed of yourself. 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions against Vegas. I mean, they just played absolutely terrible. I don't know what was going on with the Broncos in that game. I think Thursday night, I can't pinpoint it. But those are your quarterbacks. So if you guys want someone off the waiver wire, maybe Mac Jones is available, maybe Jacoby Brissett, Tyler Shuck, Mariota. Like, take a look. The injuries are the other quarterbacks, starters coming in. Take a look at that. And maybe consider some of these guys if you guys want a quarterback. Davis Mills, I just don't think that's going to be sustainable, okay? Let's look at the running backs here. This is, again, we got to talk about the situation here with running backs because, to be honest with you, a lot of running backs are getting screwed. We're talking David Montgomery stealing from the workhorse Jahmyr Gibbs. These bottom feeders like Montgomery, Charbonnet, all these guys are stealing from the workhorse running backs, and they're doing this on purpose. Travion Henderson, we finally see the breakout of Travion Henderson. I could have told you week 1 that he could have done this. Why aren't the coaches seeing this? Why are they taking so long, knowing that your team could win and do better, playing your best running back, yet they continue to still bench these players? Travion Henderson, it was so obvious. He was tearing up training camp. He was tearing up, everything prior to preseason, even the preseason games, and yet they bench him for crappy Ramondre Stevenson, who was fumbling. Now, when Stevenson comes back, I better not see him on the field. It better be Henderson, 20 rushes plus a game. I don't want to see any Stevenson. And they were looking to scout Tony Pollard. The Titans didn't want it. They should be ashamed of themselves. I hate Vrabel. I do not like this team. I do not like this offense, but I better see Henderson moving forward without a doubt. I don't want to see any other running back other than Henderson, okay? So let's talk about this. Let's talk about the other studs and sucks, all right? Now, again, we talked about Taylor tearing it up. Amazing stuff. But watch, next year, everyone's going to go, Taylor first overall, and he's going to bust next year. Because if you look at Taylor's stats, he hadn't done anything really significant since 2021, kind of falling off. I think he's only 26 years old still. But you're talking about a guy who's past his prime. This is his pinnacle year. This is the best you're going to see at Taylor. But he's going to be drafted first overall next year, which is going to be crazy at this pace, right? But what goes up must come down. Where's Barkley this year? Not doing as well, right? Where are all those top guys not doing as well because running backs tend to fall off the year after, right? Achane, amazing. Jahmyr Gibbs, 38.2 fantasy points. And what really frustrates me here, guys, and I cannot express this enough, he had 38.2 fantasy points, but only 15 rushing attempts. 15 rushing attempts were wasted on David Montgomery. As you can see here, I'm going to pull it up. You can take a look here. David Montgomery, 15 rushing attempts, 71 yards. He didn't get a touchdown. But those 15 rushing attempts, you take 10 of those, you put them here, we're talking about a 50-point game. We're talking Jonathan Taylor status. And the fact that, Taylor had 32 rushing attempts and Jahmyr Gibbs had less than half of that, and they're close in fantasy points, 49.6 to 38.2. They're off by like 11 points, and you had Jahmyr Gibbs having less than half of those rushing attempts. Like, that's how good Jahmyr Gibbs is. If Jahmyr Gibbs didn't have David Montgomery, he would be the best running back of all time. I've said this many, many times, yet people just keep saying, oh, David Montgomery's good. No, he's destroying the legacy of Jahmyr Gibbs, okay? Henderson, only 14 attempts. And with that, 10.5 yards per carry, 2 touchdowns, and 28 points. Again, only 14 attempts for Henderson. We want to see more. Kyron Williams, great game as well. 2 touchdowns, 22 points. Brees Hall making a name for himself here, 19.5. Vidal, 17.8 points. Algier has no business being in the top 8. And as you can see here, Algier outperforming his counterpart, Bijan. And where did Bijan finish here? I can't even see. I'm having a dyslexic moment here. But look at this. Tyler Algier, 17.7 fantasy points, hoarding away those 2 touchdowns. That's unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable for a guy who was really not drafted or drafted as a handcuff at best to come in and get 17.7 fantasy points. Even Charbonnet here, like 14.3, stealing away 14 attempts, unacceptable. There's Bijan, 10.8 fantasy points, 17 attempts, and no touchdowns. So Bijan finishing 22nd, and Tyler Algier finishing 8th. They are doing this by design. They are doing this by design to mess with your fantasy teams. I'm telling you, they can't have it predictable. They just can't do that. And then Brian Robinson Jr. stealing away goal line work from Christian McCaffrey. I mean, Brian Robinson Jr., just unacceptable to have 8 attempts and a touchdown, 11.5 points stealing away, right? Derrick Henry's literally having his fall off here, finishing 20th here. J.K. Dobbins sucks 9.4 points. Kyle Monagai should be getting more as a rookie, more upside, but Swift is taking that volume, 8.8 points. So I would say the suck of the week, for me, would be Ashton Genty, man. Like 15.3, not bad. Derrick Henry, man. Derrick Henry and Bijan. Bijan, 10.8 points. You are the suck of the week, okay? We're looking at waiver wire, week 11. Amari DeMarcado is not a consideration here. Woody Marks is available. Hate to say this, Tyler Algier, it sucks, but they're working him near that goal line. But watch, next week they're going to work Bijan near the goal line. That's how crazy they are, right? Judkins, White, Suckletary, 10.3. Monagai, I would try to grab him. But look at this, Kenneth Walker, 8 points. Because it's a committee, right? 14 rushing attempts, 14 went to his counterpart, Charbonnet, as you can see here, 14. Again, they're just splitting these backfields, destroying your fantasy teams, okay? So let's go to wide receivers here. As you can see, Drake London, Jameson Williams. But Jameson Williams is really hit or miss, 23.9 fantasy points last week. Emeka, Jalen Naylor, no one's expecting that. Now, if I had told you week 10, Jalen Naylor, okay, where is it? Jalen Naylor, 23.4 fantasy points. Okay, this is what I'm talking about. They are messing with your fantasy team. If I had told you Jalen Naylor in week 10 of fantasy football is the guy you got to start over Justin Jefferson, what would you have told me? You'd be like, you're nuts. Who's Jalen Naylor? That's what you would have told me. But that's what's happening in the NFL. They are working in bottom feeders to screw with your teams. Joey, you sound like a broken record. Why do you keep saying this? Because it's actually happening. People need to wake up and kind of adjust to that, because the workhorse wide receiver running back, they're trying to get rid of it. They're diluting the volume. This is happening, and nobody's really talking about it to this extent that I am. I mean, again, take a look here. I'm going to show it to you. Jalen Naylor, who is that, right? 6 targets, 5 receptions, a touchdown, 23 plus fantasy points. Now, if you look at Jefferson, I got to go all the way down here, and I can't even find the guy. Where's Justin Jefferson? Where are you? By the way, I would say if I can't find him, Justin Jefferson is the suck of the week, unless I'm having a little bit of a dyslexic moment. Did I miss him here? Anyway, when you guys see Justin Jefferson, let me know here on this list. But Drake London, Williams, Emeka, Naylor, Collins, Olave, McConkey, Roma Tuesday, Jack Smith, and Tez Johnson. I mean, Tez Johnson has no business being here. Naylor has no business being here, right? You got Alec Pierce getting involved here, finishing top 14, again, excluding the Monday games here. Marvin Harrison not performing where he should be. 14 points, not bad. Keon Coleman finally getting a touchdown, 13.6. Again, Khalil Shakir getting mixed in there. Roman Wilson, all these guys that, are touching the ball shouldn't be touching the ball. And then Justin Jefferson busting. He's got to be down here somewhere. Rashid Shaheed in Seattle, only 1 target. Just not getting it done. Obviously, they thought they were going to get more work out of him. Just didn't get done. Dante Thornton did nothing. So I got to pull up his stats here. Let me see. I got to go back here. Anyway, Justin Jefferson, I'll pull that up later. I'll put it in the comments here. I don't even see him. He had that, but I already gave it in the news here. Let me pull up Justin Jefferson's stats here real quick. Justin Jefferson recorded 12 targets, 37 yards. So that's 3 points. 3 points, 4 receptions. Yeah, it's 7 points for Jefferson. So that's what we're talking about, guys. We're talking guys that should be getting it done are not. There he is, Justin Jefferson, 7 points. Just unacceptable. Unacceptable, finishing 40th amongst wide receivers. So it's gross, it's disgusting, I know, but this is where we are. This is the new NFL, okay? Let's take a look at the tight ends here. Trey McBride, Kittle, Juwan Johnson, some usual suspects here like Tyler Warren and Schultz finishing in the top 10. That's cool. Again, they can't really manipulate the tight end stats because, again, you got that one good tight end. He's going to catch the ball like your McBrides, your Warrens, your Kittles. You can't really manipulate that. So I would say now, looking at drafts, you want to get that ace tight end because you kind of guaranteed that volume. So it's really nice to have that tight end every week kind of performing, putting up those numbers. But again, they're such a rare breed. Your Kittles, your Warrens, your McBrides. You want to target those, okay? And again, really, Cade Auden, if you're looking at waiver wire week 11, Parkinson maybe, who finished top 10, 14 points. But again, a lot of these guys, you got to look, it's a touchdown that made them who they are for that week. So you really got to monitor that situation. Suck of the week, Zach Ertz, Harold Fannin, only 8.4 points. Kyle Pitts, 5.8. I would say he sucks. Orlando Gaddison, only 4.3, but I believe he got hurt in that game. So, and Brock Bowers, everybody was telling you Brock Bowers round 2. I'm like, listen, it's a different offense. Don't draft Brock Bowers. You're an idiot. 3.7 fantasy points. Brock Bowers due to his injury. And even when he's playing, just not performing anywhere near last year. And that was obvious because it's an entirely new offense, right? Different quarterback, different situation. So Brock Bowers is a bust, okay? And that's pretty much it there. Quick glance at defense as well. Defenses that did well here. You know, Seattle, 21 points. Jets, Chargers, Texans, Miami, Denver, Jacksonville, Atlanta, Saints, and Vegas Raiders are your top defenses. Seattle topping it off with 21 fantasy points. So that's all I got for you guys here. You know, waiver wire coming up again. Take a look at who kind of performed. Go back, pause the video on the sections to see who's there, you know, in the top 15, 20 of the players on the screens. But really, at this point, your team should be solid. But man, the effery that's going on with these rosters and these committees are really just destroying the value of upside of some of these players. Like Travion Henderson not going to week 10, that is ludicrous. That should have happened a long time ago. That's what we're dealing with, guys, the new NFL, right? If you have any questions, drop them below, subscribe. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are on this whole thought process of the NFL screwing you with props. I want to know. Drop a comment, subscribe if you're new. I got content coming to you year round. And I'm back here in South Florida, continuing with the content. Have yourself a great day. I'm going to go hit the pool. I'm out.